Hello, my name is Camille Thompson. I'm the Civil Society Liaison for Country Office Bahamas, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to listen to the various CONSOC members as they present their organizations to you. We hope that you will enjoy this opportunity to listen in and hear from our CONSOC members. We are pleased that we have increased our membership from 13 to 23 members this year, and we have many exciting activities planned for the year. We just had a CONSOC grant writing workshop, and we have many more things in store for this year, so we look forward to a successful time 2014, and we will be providing our results at the end of the year. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Edison Sumner. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation. The Chamber of Commerce acts as the private sector lead or liaison for businesses in the Bahamas. We also operate and act as the main advocacy group for employers in the Bahamas, and in 2011 there was a merger between the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and the Bahamas Employers Confederation because of the synergies we saw between the two groups, to marry the two groups together to form the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation. So what we do then is we provide advocacy services for the private sector. We're the main liaison between the government and the private sector, and also between the private sector and a number of other associations and multilateral organizations in the country and throughout the world. Also in 2013, the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation became a member of the International Chamber of Commerce, which was a wonderful feat for us, and that allows us now the opportunity to make representation on behalf of the private sector in the Bahamas nationally and internationally through our associations now with the International Chamber of Commerce. We have been doing quite a bit of work over the last year, and we've got a very aggressive agenda going forward into 2014 and beyond. Included in that agenda would be the establishment of the Arbitration Center in the Bahamas, the establishment of an MOU between the Chamber of Commerce and the government relative to Trade Information Services Bureau. We've been pursuing very aggressively our SME development in the country. We'll be expanding on developing and providing advice and services to small and medium enterprises in the country as well. We have a very active Chamber Institute, which is our training arm, and we were pleased a few months ago to initiate our new online or e-learning platforms that have proven to be very successful so far. Also, we formed a taxation committee within the Chamber called the Coalition for Responsible Taxation, who have been the main driving force in the private sector, talking about and educating the general public about the impending VAT implementation, and also being the main body who've been negotiating with the government on the implementation of that and providing advice and certain recommendations to the government in that regard. We've also been moving around the country promoting what we call a Chamber on the Move, where we are bringing education to the masses regarding any number of issues, from taxation, small and medium enterprises, arbitration, etc., and also talking about the various trade agreements that are happening now that the government is actively pursuing on behalf of the country, including WTO, Extension, EPA, CARIB-CAN, CARIB-Forum, etc. So there are quite a number of initiatives we're working on. Further, as far as the local economy is concerned, we are working hand in hand with the IDB on the establishment of a virtual platform for our artisans and artists in the country, where they are able now to take the art that they've produced and place it onto a web portal, and that art now becomes available for the entire world to purchase. So we're very excited about that. We think it was a fantastic initiative. We want to thank the IDB for coming on board as such a significant partner in this initiative, and looking now to be able to give our local arts and crafts persons the world as their audience and as their stage, where they now get to sell their products not only to tourists coming into the Bahamas, but now those who've never been to the Bahamas, but who've seen and fallen in love with their art, can now purchase the art internationally. So the Chamber's been very, very busy. We've been quite active, and we have got a strong history behind us, but we're pushing now towards implementing quite a few initiatives in the ahead of us. We recently had our new election, so the Chamber is now operating under a new board of directors and under a new chairman, who've come in with a very aggressive agenda and building upon the legacy that the previous chairman and the previous board left in place. So we're pleased with the progress that we're making. We're glad for the partnerships that we have with agencies like the IDB, who are working with us to ensure that we get a lot of our agendas completed and fulfilled. And we're also pleased with the level of relationship, working relationship, that we have with the government of the Bahamas and with so many other regional governments and other organizations, which allows us to give our members the access to the seats of power in the country and in the region to be able to cause them to expand their businesses throughout the region. So we're doing a lot, we're getting it done, and we're grateful for the relationships that we do have. We're also glad for the involvement that we have with civil society, where we are seeing that there are a number of synergies that we were able to bring together, particularly as it relates to things like Try4 discussions with bringing together the interests of civil society, the government, the private sector, employers, and workers, etc., and moving that agenda forward. And also the fact that civil society and the Chamber share so much in common as it relates to the goals that we've set for ourselves and for our members, and that we're all working toward the benefit of membership, where we bring value to membership through our advocacy, through our interventions, and through the programs that we introduce to our members to cause them to advance in their various fields of endeavor. So we are thankful for that relationship. We think that it's a good marriage where we can actually bring all of these elements together to work toward the advancement of our country. In that vein, we also talk about civil society, the Chamber, the government, and others being involved in the development of the National Development Plan for the country. A very important initiative where we're seeing that all of the leads from the private sector, from civil society, from the government, from the workers, etc., are coming together in a fantastic collaboration with the government to bring advice and certain guidance on how we think the development plan ought to look from a private sector's perspective, and being sure that we all have the buy-in to this plan that we need to ensure that it works. It's a 30-year plan. It's going to affect all of us. But if we are involved in the plan at the outset of the development of the plan, then we are sure that we're going to work with the government throughout the life of the plan to be sure that we achieve all of the objectives that we've set for ourselves. So we're doing well. We're thankful for the relationships. And the Chamber of Commerce, the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, is very pleased to be able to be involved in these processes. One of the other great initiatives that we just recently completed has been the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation and all the other chambers of commerce in the country, where we have signed on to an agreement where we are now looking to solidify our relationships, to improve our level of cooperation and collaboration, to improve the level of support we bring to one another, and to ensure that the issues that affect us all are heard on a national stage, so that we together can present ourselves to the government, to any other private sector organization or association, because together as the voice of business in the country, there's certainly strength in numbers, and we believe that we've been able to, through the signing of this MOU, strengthen significantly the voice of the private sector in the country. We are seeking now to go on to build on to developing the International Chamber of Commerce's National Committee for the Bahamas, which will include all of the chambers of commerce in the country again, along with all of the significant professional bodies and associations in the country who again will come together to even strengthen what we're doing nationally. But the International Chamber of Commerce's National Committee will be geared more toward the focus on international business as opposed to domestic business. And that is where the exposure to the ICC comes in, and also through that arrangement, we are building not only the domestic arbitration center, but the Chamber of Commerce now, through the development of this ICC National Committee, also now has or will be allowed a seat on the International Court of Arbitration. That is significant for us, and I think that it's going to do well to bring more business into the country, particularly those companies and agencies who may wish to have their cases settled through arbitration, that we are establishing ourselves as a very vibrant and strong arbitration center to hear domestic disputes as well as international disputes that can be settled in arbitration in the Bahamas. So again, we are very focused on what we're doing. We have a very aggressive agenda over the next 12 months strategically, but over the long term, there's quite a bit to get done. The Chamber has been actively engaged now in the Bahamas for 80 consecutive and consistent years as what we call the modern Chamber of Commerce, having been established back in 1935. So nearly 80 years of operations. We've done quite a lot, but we are coming into new times. We're moving into the digital age. It's now a fully IT age. So what we did 80 years ago and the way it was done, things are being done differently, but just as effectively. Information now flows at the click of a finger, the speed of thought. So where we could have enjoyed the time before where weeks would have gone by between sending a correspondence and receiving a response, nowadays you send a correspondence out, you expect a response back almost immediately. So we've adapted ourselves to this change, and we're seeing that it's benefiting our members as well. And we want to continue to grow and to move with the times to be sure that the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce always remains relevant to what's happening in the economy and in the country at any point in time. Thank you.
Hi, I am Jennifer Isaacs Dotson, and I am the Secretary General of the National Congress of Trade Unions Bahamas and the first Vice President of the Union of Tertiary Educators of the Bahamas. I am also an Associate Professor at the College of the Bahamas and Chair of the School of Education. The National Congress of Trade Unions Bahamas is the recognized voice of labor in the country. It was formed in 1995, and our current president is Brother John Pinder, who also serves as a member of CONSOC. The National Congress of Trade Unions is made up of a number of affiliates and observer unions, and we represent really the voice of labor in the country. So any concerns when it comes to the trade union movement, the National Congress of Trade Unions speaks out on those events. The National Congress of Trade Unions is affiliated, of course, with the International Labour Organization, the Caribbean Congress of Labour, as well as we also collaborate with the Commonwealth Bahamas Trade Union Congress within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas as well. The National Congress of Trade Unions Bahamas also has a Labour College, and the Labour College is responsible for providing labour education in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It is our aim and objective to ensure that every worker is educated and knows what their rights are in the workplace, know about occupational safety and health, which is the buzzword in labour right now, and also to be aware of where the trade union movement came from and the importance, of course, of continuing the movement and the importance of it to the national development of the country. I have been involved with CONSOC since 2010, and it has been extremely rewarding and exciting to be a part of this group, to really see how the IDB works and understand what the aims and objectives are, how the IDB interacts with government, and the consultative process that the IDB is truly being engaged in with this group makes it even more exciting for me to be a part of it. I am able to be kept abreast and to keep my organization abreast of projects that the IDB is presently doing within the country, and to be able to have first-hand knowledge of upcoming projects and to be kept abreast as to how projects are progressing within the country. So I applaud the IDB for starting CONSOC, and I look forward to us continuing this communication and consultation with this group, and hopefully we will begin to get more teeth as CONSOC grows from strength to strength.
I'm Eric Carey. I'm the Executive Director of the Bahamas National Trust. And we are a statutory non-government organization with responsibility for the management of the Bahamas' national park system. And that aspect of it is obvious but from the point of view of people that we work with through partnerships. We work a lot with communities. Over the past, I mean, the trust is more than 50 years old, but really I would say in the past 10 years we've started placing a lot of emphasis on working with especially local people in local communities, making sure that they become really virtual stakeholders in the process of determining what happens in and around national parks within their communities. The involvement of especially these communities is critical because that ensures the buy-in. You know, years ago, national parks were created by government or an organization saying this is important, it's a national park, and then you local people have to live with it. That's long gone out the door. Society today, especially with the ability to share information instantaneously on Facebook and by email, the power of the internet, local people have an opportunity to express immediately to decision makers, whether it's the Bahamas National Trust or to a government official, either their support for or their opposition to a particular program or protected area. So working with these communities is extremely important. These parks are established obviously to protect the resource, but the real value is when local communities especially gain direct financial benefit. And so one of the things that we are doing is working with communities, the Ministry of Tourism, actually in a project funded by the IDB and with the National Audubon Society on developing nature-based tourism opportunities around these communities. And that shows the real social benefits, socio-economic benefits of these national parks. So our partners are government, our partners are communities, our partners are formal community-based organizations. As an example, we work with Friends of the Environment in Abaco, which is a local environmental organization. Nature's Hope in South Andros also focus on the environment, and Andros Conservancy and Trust in Central Andros, and there is one also in St. Salvador, the St. Salvador Living Jewels Foundation. And so we make it a point to, when we go into these communities to work, ensure that there is an effective interface with these communities, because again we're looking for buy-in for our programs. The top-down approach coming from Nassau, going to an island, long gone. People don't warm up to that. In fact, they absolutely totally reject it. So we have to respond to the reality that these communities want to be a part of determining, what happens in their national parks, and even you notice now with a lot of developments that are taking place, local communities are much more involved in that process. So from the perspective of how we work with, the CONSOC group, civil society has an important role to play in determining what happens in our society. And being proponents of the involvement of people in governance, in decision making, in determining what happens, and I guess in all spheres of the economy, is really an important role. Advocating for that is an important role that's in civil society organizations, the role that they fill. And the National Trust is really pleased to have been affiliated with the group. I mean, because what our CONSOC group, obviously, without casting a political opinion or getting involved in the politics of our country or the sovereign issues of our country, the bank very effectively facilitates an important discussion that hasn't really happened before. Yes, there are civil society organizations in the Bahamas, that do um, advance issues for the public good, greater public good, but through the process that we have through the consort group, it does provide an effective facilitator, and I think that's the real value of our group.
Well, hello and welcome to the Bahamas Cooperative League Limited. My name is Stephanie Missick-Jones. I'm the General Manager. The Bahamas Cooperative League Limited is the apex body for cooperatives in the Bahamas. We have a membership of 40,000 members. The Bahamas Cooperative League represents both financial cooperatives, which many people know as credit unions, and also producer-supplier cooperatives. Those producer-supplier cooperatives are focused on agriculture, fisheries, and also multi-purpose initiatives. The Bahamas Cooperative League is also committed to continuing the legacy of the movement, and we're also involved with promoting junior cooperatives in our local schools. We are hoping that we can grow the movement. Hopefully we'll have a greater penetration of cooperatives in the country by 2020. The movement is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. It was back in 1974 that the Cooperative Act of the Bahamas was enacted. So we are busy having celebrations and having activities that will create the greater awareness of cooperatives in the Bahamas. The Bahamas Cooperative League is basically operated or coordinated by a board of directors who represent the various credit unions and cooperatives in the country. This month, May, all credit unions and cooperatives, and indeed the league, will be hosting their annual general meetings, and this is the time in which we report to our membership on the activities of the movement. Of course, we are concerned about the development of the entire Bahamas, and so we have representatives in various family islands. We have representatives in Grand Bahama, Abaco, Eleuthera, and Cat Island, and we are hoping that through cooperatives we'll be able to develop those islands. So the Bahamas Cooperative League will continue its focus this year on the family islands. We are hoping that we can get into islands like Eleuthera, like Long Island, and Acklins. We've certainly started discussions with persons in those islands to see what cooperatives, what credit unions we are able to assist in formation there. We certainly believe that cooperatives can help to develop these islands, as you know, they work together, they work well when the persons are working together. In terms of the youth program, we have planned a number of activities for the youth. There should be a summer camp this year after school is closed. We're also working on or hosting a junior cooperative competition, business plan competition, where we have junior cooperatives compete based on the business plans they've submitted to us. So we're looking forward to that. In addition, we are hoping that we can increase the awareness of cooperatives by increasing our marketing. That is a big role of the league, increasing the marketing, increasing our position and visibility in the country. Now, in terms of civil societies, well, we certainly value our participation in civil societies, Bahamas at IDB, as it allows us to learn about what is going on in the country, share that information with our members, and it also enables us to participate in programs that will help develop cooperatives as well as the country. So we look forward to our continued participation in civil societies.
Hello, my name is Christopher Hicks. I'm the current president of the Bahamas National Youth Council. Having been established in 2006, this organization's first annual general meeting gave birth to our motto, Many Islands, One Voice. Since that meeting, the Bahamas National Youth Council has endeavored to be the voice that speaks on behalf of the youth to our government, and when called upon, throughout the Caribbean and the world. We currently have nearly 20 youth organizations that are represented at our General Assembly, including but not limited to the Anglican Diocese of the Bahamas, Pathfinders of the Bahamas, the Methodists of the Bahamas, the youth arms of the different political parties here in the Bahamas, and the Union of Students for the College of the Bahamas, just to name a few. These representatives from these organizations have different beliefs, social, economic, and educational backgrounds. But when we sit at the table of the BNYC, it is for one reason: the betterment of all youth throughout the islands of the Bahamas. In the past, the Council has executed projects such as turning houses into homes, where we solicited sponsorship from corporate Bahamas, added some youth power, and we were able to help an inner city house feel more like a home for that family. Addressing some of the social ills that our youth face, we hosted Carib Me Carib, which included events such as Caribbean Youth Day and a host of seminars, movie nights, and other events, purposed at bridging the cultural divide for fostering greater understanding between people of different nationalities, especially those in the Caribbean. We plan to continue addressing these social ills through an initiative called Unite for Peace that will include public service announcements and peace fairs, among other events. We will host our second business forum, aimed at giving high school students a more down-to-earth view of the world that they are about to enter into. We will also push for the implementation of the National Youth Policy that holds within its solutions to a lot of the issues that plague the youth of the Bahamas. This policy, put together by the hard-working members of the policy team, will act as the government's promise to the nation to make it a better place for its youth. The Bahamas National Youth Council is and always will be an agent for the betterment of this country through the betterment of its youth, all youth, from all our islands and from all various backgrounds. Thank you.